Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the faith, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got you wild upside down. The labyrinth will guide you far away to a place where senses will decay. Your ghost and mind will shadow play. I got you wild upside down. Upside down. Find your way into this wonderland. Cross the maze, the dark, the innocent. Chase the faith, the thrill, the heaven sent. I got you wild upside down. The labyrinth will guide you far away to a place where senses will decay. Your ghost and mind will shadow play. I got you wild upside down.
Alright, real quick. I know we're in between episodes, but I'm running out of space to pick everything up. And we've got a few hard drives, so I think we're going to actually take a moment to analyze the hard drives. See what we're getting out of them. No. Maybe. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Probably. Let's re-roll this one. Steel screws. Bolted frame. Oh, two of my favorites. There it is. There it is. Solid steel ingots. That's the one we're after. Ingot to coal, ingot and coal to 50% more steel. Okay, we're done. That's all right, we're done with this. I'm gonna drive back home and start recording episode 7. Hello, my name is Okada, and welcome back to Pixel Perfect Season 2, episode 7. Yeah, 7. As you can see, there is no sound. Well, I guess you can hear there is no sound. The celebration is over. It was pretty cool, but it's nice not having to talk over it anymore. You also saw a little montage there at the beginning. That's kind of in lieu of our intro. We're still trying to cut back on doing our little monologuing. And it's at the end of the last episode, we were going to look to maybe just go and do a hard drive scouring across the world, you know, in newbie areas where they're easy to get. And I proposed that we would make the dune buggy and drive around, but I ran into a little bit of a hitch there on that. As you saw in the video, I used the tractor instead. You see, we have quartz research. Here's the dune buggy. It requires oscillators. Now, we knew that, but what I didn't really calculate in my head was that the oscillators take assemblers to make, and we don't have those. I know it says we can use a crafting bench, but you know my golden rule, which is never handcrafting for progress. Now, I was kind of hoping I'd find 10 of them lying around when I was looking for hard drives, but I did not. That's okay. The tractor is just fine. It did its job. But I'm running around all hyperactive because I'm excited. I'm excited about some of the stuff that's going to come about, things that we're going to do today. You see, we're going to get working on our steel production, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. And I'm going to be upfront and honest, this is not my first time doing this intro. It's not the second time either. I keep getting carried away and rambling on, and so I'm going to try to do this super short version of this. And, well, it's still going to involve the spreadsheet. Yes, the spreadsheet. Now, we haven't seen this since Season 1, but that's because we're still building a new one for Season 2. All the recipes have changed, so I've just gone back from scratch and started a brand new one. It is not even close to functional yet because we're not really doing much. But we're going to take a look at this little scratch page for our proposed steel output, and there's an important reason why I want to show you this. You see, in the steel production area that we have proposed, we have normal nodes for coal, 1 pristine for iron, and 2 impures. Now what we only care about really is the coal, because that's the thing that limits our steel production. Now if we assume a Mark II miner on everything, and we don't do any overclocking, we have 480 per minute, and between episodes we found the recipe we were looking for, which is this one right here. Now the default recipe for steel is 1 iron, 1 coal, 1 steel. But with this new alternate recipe, if we take the extra step of turning the iron ore into iron ingots, we get a 1.5 return instead of a 1-to-1. And that's amazing because we don't need any additional resources. It's just more machines, a little bit more power, big deal, don't care. That gives us 720 steel ingots per minute. Now with that, we have some ratios here. These are the things that we'll be making, right? Steel beams and steel pipes. If we go with 9 machines making steel ingots because they are more expensive to make, and honestly, they're in greater demand, we'll get 135 per minute and 120 pipe per minute. That's not bad output, really it isn't. We can adjust this. As you can see, we bring that up to 10, that automatically brings us down to 4. There's all kinds of formulas going on here, I won't bother you with it. But this is an easy way for us to judge what we're making and what we'd have left over, and it makes it a lot easier to plan out the process of how many machines we're going to do for what. But if we go up to 12, we have no steel pipes. Now again, steel beams are arguably more important. Those steel pipes are still very important. And I hear you saying, well, that's obviously a no-go. We can't do that. But what if, during last episode, we found a recipe that didn't exist in the game before 1.0 that allows us to turn just iron ingots straight into steel pipe? How amazing would that be? Well, obviously it is amazing because we can do it. And that's what I'm going to propose we do. But wait, there's even more. Because you see, we can push this further if we grab this recipe here, because normally it's 1-to-1, or in this case 8 ore to 8 ingots. But if we throw in a little bit of copper, we almost double our iron output. And that means a lot more steel pipe. But wait, there's even more than that. You see, there's another recipe involving steel that is very high demand, extremely resource intensive, and just a giant pain to make in sufficient quantities. And that would be the encased industrial beams. As you can see, the default recipe takes beams, which we already know are inefficient, and a bunch of concrete to make just a little bit of steel beams. But you can see with this alternate recipe, we can use steel pipe, or in our case, iron pipe, with a little bit less concrete, and still get our encased industrial beams. Now, in order for us to do this, we would need an area that has iron, copper, and some concrete. Boy, I wonder where we could find something like that. Here is a limestone node that we're only kind of using because we have other limestone nodes that are literally turned off and not being used at all. We have a nice open space right here. Boy, if only we had maybe some iron in the area. Oh, what's this? 6 iron nodes, you say? Well, yeah, I mean, they are impure, but it's 6 nodes. And gee, if only we had some copper in the area to go with it. What's this? Right up here on the ridge, a normal copper ore that we're not using and never will. Well, gee willikers, that seems like a recipe for all kinds of good stuff right here in this spot. Now, don't worry about the math on how many pipes we're going to make. We're probably not going to bother with that this episode because our focus is going to be getting the steel facility up and running. So I'm going to fiddle around a little bit more with the spreadsheet, figure out exactly how many of each machine type I need. Hopefully it's going to come out as I envision it, but we'll see. So with that, well, let's get started. Oh, I came back here to get these things unlocked. I forgot one more thing, real quick. There's so much I want to get done. Space elevator. 1,000 versatile frameworks. Let's do this. Back here. All right. Quick math. We need 1,000 of these. So if it was 1,000 cycles, it would be 1,200 steel beams, but we get 2 per, so half of that is 6,000 steel beams. And instead of 1,000 modular frames, it would be 500 modular frames. So we have 6,000 steel beams. Yeah, I spent a lot of time running around between episodes, so we made a lot of steel beams. And 500 of the modular frames. All right, that's considered done. We don't need to touch that now. Also, I've prepared for the final one. We need, what is it? 2,000 cable for automated wiring. And we only need 100 of the stators, so we could do this at the same time. We're not producing stators yet. However, between episodes, when we're doing all the hard drive hunting, here, we picked up a bunch of stators. So we might do that. I'm not going to worry about it right now because it's kind of pointless to use those to unlock the next tier of the space elevator if we're not actually producing the products. And that's the whole point to not handcrafting for progress. It isn't because handcrafting is boring, even though it is. It's because it causes you to get ahead of your production lines, and then you just have a bunch of production you have to go back and make. So I'd rather actually have lines up and running before we do that. We'll see how things go. Anyway, back to steel. All right, I think it's time to turn all this on and test it. Now, a couple of things real quick, like, first of all, in the time lapse, you saw that I played around with this little design here. This is meant to be a accompanying logo. It's not meant to paint the entire building. It's a little bit bigger than I was going for. Initially, I kind of wanted to have like these staggered, but they were looking like they were imitating the roof, and I didn't want it to do that. So I kind of played around with it a bit. I didn't cut it out of the time lapse because, well, that's kind of the process, right? So I wanted you to see that. But I do like it. I like the color scheme. I might trim it down so that it's just like the diamond right here in the middle. But that's something I can deal with later. Also, so there's a unique situation here. You know better than I do what the final build looks like because I haven't actually finished it. Now, this should have all been in the time lapse. Whatever I do going forward should already been in the time lapse. But I'm doing this now, the little turn on and everything and the walkthrough, because it's going to be easier for you to see it without the walls and everything else in the place. You know, I intend to put walls in here. I think I'm going to probably run some piping down to look like there's water running for cooling and whatnot, even though we don't actually use any water in this. But you know, I'll see what it comes out. You know, maybe a little rooftop or something like that over these. It's going to need to be something that wouldn't collide with the cranes or, you know, block them from being able to drop off their material. I don't know. I'll see what I can do. But speaking of the cranes, I love them. I love them. This came out so good. You know, last episode, there was something in the background I said that was a work in progress. You know, a little testing thing. Of course, that was a crane that I was testing. It was up on the cliff here. It was a very rudimentary version of this. And, you know, I knew that we couldn't do it properly until we had more unlocks. Now we have more unlocks. We got these little cylinders. Of course, these cylinders are a wall from a mod pack. But there are cylinder things in the game we could do anyway. I thought that was good, made it look for a good column. But everything else I think is pretty much stock standard. And it's supposed to be something that we can believe is real and is moving, right? Because that's the philosophy, right, of this season. We have material running down streets that is meant to represent motion, right? It's supposed to be cars going places, it's traffic, it's the manpower going to work, it's product being carried around, stuff being bought. That's the reason for us seeing that in the visual. And that's what this is. It's supposed to give motion to something that doesn't actually move. So once we get everything turned on, we're going to see product coming up the lifts. And it's going to look like, you know, the belts are coming up or the cables are coming up and they're lifting these containers up. And we're going to see it go up. We won't see it go over, right, because we don't have that height of a view, but we'll see it come back down. And that's supposed to be, you know, like there's a giant winch down here that's pulling down the cables and they're wound up across and coming down, and that's what's lifting everything. So that's it's going to give life to it. All right, I think that's enough rambling about it. There's going to be a lot of stuff to show you, but we need to plug it all in because it's going to take time for the materials to get where they're going. Let's get it all turned on. I want to get this under, let's say 8 minutes because there's something else I really want to do. And I've done a little bit of the editing ahead of time just to get an idea for how much time we've got. And we've got a little bit of leeway here. And it's just something I've been trying to do at the end of every episode, and I always run out of time. All right, so everything should be powered. You can see that I unlocked hypertubes. It was just too much of a pain getting up and down. I was always going to unlock them anyway. I just didn't do it on camera. And while those are getting wound up, I want to talk about this platform and a mistake that I made. It's kind of a newbie mistake. And it's that the platform is too small. Now, this is a mistake I wouldn't have made in the past, but I haven't played this game in over a year, right? Remember at the end of Pixel Perfect Season 1, that was, 5 or 6 months before 1.0 came out? And 1.0 is over a year old now, right? We just had the celebration. So it's been over a year since I played this. And it wasn't because I didn't want to play it. It was because I wanted to play it with you. I wanted to experience the new stuff with you. I wanted it to be an authentic experience. And, you know, I just got sidetracked with other projects and just didn't have time to do this. And so, you know, now it's back up and running and you get a little rusty on things, and that just happens. But this platform is way too small. You can see how tight everything is. Now, it is still pixel perfect. Everything is turning as perfectly as we can. There's no clipping. But if we go downstairs, you'll see that there are some shenanigans going on. I had to do a lot of heavy lifting to get this stuff to go right. You can see all the stuff that's underneath and just weird. But, you know, I didn't want anything to be clipping, and that's what it took. It literally took me as long to belt all this as it did to build all of it. But it all, should be working. It all should be mapped out properly. Famous last words, once it's all running, I'll go back and make sure all the belt speeds are properly calculated out. Also, I use smart splitters here because I wanted these manifolds to fire up in a staggered manner. I want everything on one side to get full first before the ones in the middle get full. So these are using overflow instead of a regular splitter. This would work as a regular splitter. Everything would work fine. But all it means is that these middle lines are going to be late to the party. But it also means the outer lines are going to get fully functional much more quickly. But look at all this stuff coming up. Oh, it's going to look great. It's going to look so great. We are also using the iron alloy ingot alternate recipe. We took that. Largely we took it because we're going to want it for next episode when we start to build our iron pipe, which is going to go to the steel pipe alternative. Because, why not, right? If we can use just iron on the steel pipes, then that means we can dedicate all of our steel to steel beams. And of course we're using the solid steel ingot alternate recipe, so we're getting a lot more steel out of all this. It's just, we're really turning numbers here on efficiency. Now, that also came with a drawback that we're being so efficient, we're producing so much material that our Mark III belts are not enough. That's part of why we have that kind of nightmare of belting going down, because even though we have 3 rows of foundries going, we needed 4 belts worth of material. So the ones on the end are kind of standalone. So that's that's just what it is. And look, here we go. And all the coal should be flowing now, so we get a good look at. If I keep missing the jump, let me over here. There we go. There goes the third belt's finally making here. But you can see the motion, right? Look, it looks like the wires are being brought down, the cables are being wound down, and it's bringing everything up. And again, we have the representative cargo containers down there. That's really what they're supposed to be lifting. Plus, they cover up the end of the lifts, so it looks like they're actually attached. Yeah, this is good. I'm so happy with this. And of course, the middle line again is not going to be running for now, but I think we can. Let's see. I know that I have some steel in my inventory from when I cleaned up the area down there. The line is not running. Yeah. Let's just dump all that in there. Here we go. All right, it's looking good. All right, we've got some steel going down here. I'm gonna have time, finishing out this build, the stuff that you've already seen built. So this is all gonna have time to get up and running full, and I'll be able to do any troubleshooting if it looks like anything isn't coming out fast enough. But I suspect that we've got it. I think we've got it. A shy of maybe a belt here or there that might be too slow. Yeah, and so this is nice and spacious, right? We have these vaulted ceilings where we have the sunlight coming in, and these can be opened up, for the heat to come out of the factory. This is going to be a very hot place. You may not know this. I've mentioned it before, maybe in live streams, but I have worked in a factory myself, so this is not far from something I've done in the past. Complete with conveyor belts and everything. So this is, I have experience in this. I don't miss it. I miss the automation. I love automation. I don't miss 12 hours in a 100+ degree building. Just I don't miss that. But I know what this is like. So we'll imagine that these windows open up during the day and let some heat out. But for now, we'll just have them all running out into temporary containers just to make sure everything's good. We're going to end up with a parking lot or something around here, and we'll be running, of course, a road up here later. We're not going to do that at least until next episode, because the next project for the steel pipes is going to be between here and the neighborhood, and we'll need to connect that first. But we've rambled enough. I'm already past my 8-minute mark. That was my target mark. I really got something else I just absolutely want to get done. So I'm going to get the work on this, and assuming I have enough time, the thing that I keep not doing at the end of every episode, we're going to do it today. So I'll see you soon. All right, real quick, now, this looks like, for me, what it looked like for you. I'm quite pleased. I'm quite happy with what this has come out as. The walls come out very nicely. When I installed these vents, they looked a little bit too much like faces, so I had to throw some extra decorative pipes on there just to, break it up a little bit. And I like the way that the cross supports came out. You can see we have the plumbing that came up. Everything looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. A little support there on bridge, and I brought the foundations down so they look like they're a little bit better supported. And temporarily here, I've thrown down an awesome sink because while I was doing all that, these actually filled up. You can see I've doubled these up to large containers. I don't know why I need all these, but that's a thing. There they are. And they're all merging and going to go into there. Which brings me to another quick little detail I noticed. Look at our power consumption. It is actually peaking over the 1200 here and there. So all that extra power that we bought ourselves, we used up on this project. So that's that's a thing. I'm gonna have to look around to see where else we can expand our power, because I don't want to spend next episode doing more power. So don't worry about that right now. I'll think about that, whatever. Time is a thing. So let's get going. I still have that other thing I want to do, and I'm determined to do it because I keep trying to do it every episode. So let's go. First stop is back at the hub. We need to do a research. Now, of course, this is one place where we have to handcraft. We're going to grab a couple of them. This is something you'll very rarely ever see me use, but right now I'm kind of afraid for our lives. But we're about to take on cave spiders. Alright, here we are. Now, I did run in here once. The clip did not get concluded because, well, time. And that was a few episodes ago before we had the rebar gun. So, we're going back in now. And if you are arachnophobic, you really don't want to watch this bit. I'm probably going to montage it a little bit because I'm going to go slow and try not to die. Alright, so interestingly enough, I only ran into one spider. Now, I did kill a bunch of them the last time I was in here, but that was ages ago. Alright, the other reason why we needed the inhalers is because we don't have gas masks yet. So, hopefully, we can do this. Go! Alright, I did not try to make that run last time because we did not have health stuff. Oh, no! Stop it! Get back! Vile creatures. Mama spider. Oh, that gas cloud, she's a spitter. That came from the mama spider. Oh, down she goes. That was a dangerous one. If she had aggroed, we were dead. Alright, we need a little bit of this. Alright, this is what we came for. Sam ore. In early access, this is... that's how I know where this was. This was in early access, but it never had a use. They closely guarded what it was used for, and I still do not know. I have managed to avoid any information on the SAM orb. So I am excited to finally, after years of playing this game, be able to put a miner down, get some ore from it, and have it do something. 120 per minute. We're still going to use a Mark III belt just because, you know, why not? Now, obviously, we don't have the time for me to film dragging this all the way out. It also would not be interesting. So, I will see you on the outside, unless I die. All right, I made it out alive. I did encounter another spider, but time to fire it up. So what we're going to do, I think, for now, is we're going to let our wealthiest resident in the neighborhood kind of keep it for us. He can hold on to the SAM ore. Seems like, you know, he probably paid for the privilege or something like that. Let's get something kind of purplish. There we go. And I'm going to wait for some more to get here and grab a bunch of it, and then we're going to run and do some research on it. And then we'll check on our space elevator, and then we'll do our outro. All right, we're back. We're back. Okay, space elevator stuff. This should all be done. It's probably going to be lopsided. Yeah, that definitely was going to be a little bit off. Because, you know, the distribution between machines, if it's not perfect. There we go. Okay, that should take care of the rest of it. So that's fine. All right, so we're done with that piece of the space elevator. And SAM ore, where do we, alien technology? Yes. Okay. And go. We're probably just gonna run right into a wall and not be able to do anything. Reanimated SAM. Okay, so this requires more SAM ore. I brought 2 stacks. What were these anyway? Oh, that was the artifacts. Okay, so I need to make 10 reanimated SAM. Okay, it's just SAM to reanimate. Okay. Man, it processes 120 a minute. A fast recipe. It's probably where we're gonna hit a wall. Dimensional Depot? Okay, so this is the thing that lets you teleport items. I'm aware of that. An alien energy harnessing. Power augmenter. Huh. Production amplifier. I don't know what these do. Okay, well that's cool. And again, I'm aware of what this is. Okay, I think we're going to stop there on the research because I need to get this video edited. But we're on the first trail. That's excellent. I don't have a use for the Dimensional Depot right now anyway, so that's okay. But that is so cool. All right, so that's going to be a wrap. We got a whole lot done today. We got a really cool facility up and running. We have secured our steel beams. Next episode, we're going to go back and get the steel pipes. Plus, we're going to need to get some more power from somewhere. Maybe I'll scout that out between episodes. But we're finally starting to get to that point to where we can start kicking in and doing some real work. The early game is getting behind us because now we have some good belt speeds and ample building materials We've unlocked a lot of the cosmetics and the additional bits that we want from the Awesome Shop, as well as some critical research done in the MAM. So I feel like things are starting to kick into gear. So thank you so very much for coming out. Don't forget there's a community Discord. Right now we are doing a lot of jump ship on live streams with our Discord members. And there's always room for people to join as slots open up. So if that's your thing, consider joining in. But thanks again. Be sure to leave a like on your way out, and I'll see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this, you may want to check out one of these other videos. And thank you very much for your time.